Wow.
With each new extreme weather event, the number of climate skeptics is decreasing. One of the reasons behind the progression of natural anomalies was already briefly mentioned in previous episodes. We are talking about micro and nanoplastics, whose particles, having penetrated water, soil, air, and other environments of the planet, have become active participants in climatic processes, disrupting the water cycle and the energy balance. But there is another aspect, no less alarming than the catastrophes themselves. This is the impact that micro and nanoplastics have on humans. This is what, as well as the most high-profile climate events of the past week, we will talk about in today's episode. Paraguay. An F1 category tornado struck the Paraguayan department of Alto Paraná on December 21st. The vortex formed between the cities of Santa Rosa del Monte and Santa Rita. The most severe destruction was observed in the rural settlement of Colonia Curupaiti, where wooden structures and sheets of corrugated roofing metal were scattered over dozens of meters. Wind speeds reached 150 kilometers per hour. The vortex knocked down trees and concrete power line poles along Route 63, which connects both affected cities with the rural areas. As a result, widespread power outages occurred in the district, and the road was temporarily closed to clear the debris. Italy. On December 19th, the Italian island of Elba was hit by an extreme downpour. Within a few hours, up to 65 millimeters of precipitation fell there. Roads turned into fast-flowing streams, and water flooded numerous basements and garages, entering through stairwells and pouring in through windows. Serious damage was inflicted on buildings and schools. In Porto Azzurro, police had to evacuate children from a kindergarten. On the island, some villages were isolated from the outside world due to landslides and flooding. This year, the residents of Elba have already suffered from severe storms for the fourth time. They called it a true recurring nightmare. United States. On December 17th, a powerful storm system formed in the Rocky Mountains, a major mountain range in the western United States. Moving eastward, it led to extreme weather conditions in more than 30 states. Strong winds in the Pacific Northwest, with gusts of up to 222 kilometers per hour, caused power outages affecting more than 500,000 people, significantly compounding the consequences of previous flooding. The storm in the state of Wyoming led to the establishment of a new regional wind speed record. On Coffin Mountain, gusts reached 232 kilometers per hour. More than 100 freight train cars were overturned by strong winds near the state capital, the city of Cheyenne, completely blocking a section of the railway. Specialized crews worked to clear the tracks for nearly 18 hours. In the city of Twin Falls, Idaho, strong winds knocked down trees and power lines near a bus stop where 2 children were waiting for a school bus, as a result of which they sustained severe injuries. Due to strong winds, the spread of wildfires intensified. In Pennington County, South Dakota, fire caused the temporary closure of a highway. A large-scale fire in Yuma County, Colorado, which covered more than 16,000 hectares, led to mass evacuations. The storm in Boulder County lifted dust and debris, sharply reducing visibility on the roads. Local authorities strongly advised residents not to leave their homes. The northern plains and central regions of the country came under the influence of the storm, with heavy snow and blizzards in places with drifts and whiteout conditions. Heavy rains that passed through the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys caused traffic disruptions and delays at airports. The storm reached the northeastern part of the country on the night of December 19th. downpours and wind gusts of up to 109 kilometers per hour led to a transportation collapse during the Christmas and New Year travel period. Between December 20th and December 23rd, Northern California came under the influence of a powerful atmospheric river known as the Pineapple Express. Up to 150 millimeters of rain fell in low-lying areas, significantly exceeding seasonal averages and causing rivers to overflow and the urban drainage system to become overwhelmed. The most severe situation developed in the city of Redding, where water rapidly flooded underpasses and transport interchanges. A sudden rise in water levels led to a tragedy. Trapped in a water hazard, a driver became stuck inside a vehicle, and despite the efforts of a police officer and emergency services, he could not be saved. In Placer County, firefighters managed to rescue a family with an infant by guiding them through a fast-moving current after a swollen river completely surrounded their home. The elements seriously disrupted the transportation system of Northern California. At San Francisco International Airport, flights were temporarily suspended, while delays were recorded at the airports of Los Angeles and Sacramento. Flooding led to the closure of a number of roads, including U.S. Route 101, a major artery of the U.S. West Coast. In Yellowstone National Park, a powerful hydrothermal explosion was recorded on the morning of December 21st. A webcam of the local volcanological observatory captured mud and debris being ejected high into the air. It is worth noting that the Black Diamond Basin is not among the most active in Yellowstone National Park. However, over the past 19 months, sporadic mud eruptions have occurred here. A powerful outburst in July, accompanied by columns of mud and rocks rising to heights of tens of meters, forced park management to close the Biscuit Basin area to visitors. In addition, a new camera, as well as seismic and acoustic monitoring stations, were installed here for more thorough and continuous observation. Iran. Another country in the Middle East was affected by the storm, Iran, whose southern provinces were hit by torrential rains. In less than 24 hours on Kish Island in Hormozgan province, more than 140 millimeters of precipitation fell, exceeding the annual average. In total, over 3 days, the amount of precipitation reached more than 200 millimeters. In a number of areas, due to river overflow, 17 rural roads were closed. Key port cities along the Persian Gulf Coast were also affected by heavy downpours. For example, in Bandar Khomeini, more than 180 millimeters of precipitation fell. Severe flooding caused significant damage to infrastructure. In Kale Ganj County, Kerman Province, more than 20 villages were isolated from the outside world. In the city of Bandar Rig, Bushehr Province, power outages occurred as a result of damage to dozens of power transmission poles. At the same time, snowfall occurred in the central part of the country. In Isfahan Province, this event happened for the first time in 20 years, and in the mountainous areas of Razavi Khorasan, the snow cover reached 50 centimeters. The elements caused enormous damage to agriculture. Several agricultural provinces were affected, with the greatest losses suffered by Bushehr Province. In the Bord Kun and Bagan areas, floods destroyed from 60 to 100% of tomato plantations over an area of about 1,000 hectares. Fortunately, there were no human casualties. Saudi Arabia. In mid-December, a rare and large-scale weather phenomenon occurred in Saudi Arabia. Heavy snowfall fell in the north of the country, in the provinces of Tabuk and Hail. At the same time, air temperatures dropped to -4 degrees Celsius. The snowfall was accompanied by strong winds and dense fog. Snow covered not only the mountain peaks, but also the adjacent desert plateaus, which became the first such occurrence in the region in nearly 3 decades. For local residents, this event proved so unusual that numerous photos and video recordings of snow-covered landscapes flooded all social media, and the hashtag with the name of the mountain became the most popular within the country. The beginning of the snowfall, December 17th, was an atypically early date for the region, where snow, if it falls at all, usually occurs only in January-February and exclusively in high mountain areas. Meteorologists emphasize that the combination of sub-zero temperatures and high humidity leading to such a phenomenon occurs here extremely rarely. And in the east of the country at the same time, due to sudden flooding triggered by heavy rains, streets and cars in the city of Al Jubail in the Ash-Sharqiya province ended up underwater. In Buraida, in the Al Qasim province, civil defense evacuated residents. Sections of one of the key transportation arteries of the capital, Riyadh, were also flooded. United Arab Emirates. From December 18th, the country was hit by powerful and rare winter storms, accompanied by thunderstorms and hail. The hardest hit was the emirate of Ras Al Khaimah, where more than the annual average of precipitation fell over the course of 2 days. It should be noted that in the UAE, the average annual precipitation is about 100 millimeters, but in recent dry years, this amount has decreased to 50 millimeters. The only exception was the year 2024, when the country experienced the heaviest rains in the past 75 years. The rains flooded roads and residential neighborhoods, completely paralyzing transportation. As a result of the elements, damaged cars, uprooted trees, and piles of branches were left on the streets. In the northern areas of Ras Al Khaimah, several funnel-shaped vortices were observed. On Jebel Jais, the highest mountain in the country, mountain roads and tourist facilities were temporarily closed after damage to serpentine roads and hiking trails. Many residents who had traveled to the mountainous areas to observe the rain found themselves cut off by landslides. About 300 people, including families with children, were forced to spend the entire night there. The elements also disrupted the operation of key infrastructure. Flights to Dubai and Sharjah were subject to cancellations and delays, and ferry services between them were temporarily suspended. Extreme weather conditions also spread to Qatar. In the country, due to heavy rains, a playoff match of the FIFA Arab Cup was cancelled. Against the backdrop of the scale and force of the catastrophes we have seen, commentary loses its meaning. The question is no longer whether the next climate udar will occur, but whether we will have enough clarity of thought to respond to it adequately. According to research, in the 20th century, humanity experienced a steady rise in IQ indicators, a phenomenon known as the Flynn effect. However, for generations born after the 1970s, this trend changed. Intelligence levels began to decline. The process continues today, and micro and nanoplastics play far from a minor role in it. Electrostatically charged plastic particles are capable of penetrating the body's biological barriers, including the blood-brain barrier, that is, directly into the brain. There, they gradually accumulate and create a state of constant background stress. As a result, the brain begins to operate in an energy-saving mode, like a computer with a constantly depleted battery, shutting down its most complex functions. First and foremost, analysis, planning, and critical thinking suffer. And it is here that an alarming picture takes shape. The brain increasingly abandons logical analysis and shifts to instinctive reactions. A person becomes worse at recognizing real threats and responds to them inadequately. How else can one explain the actions of those who, for the sake of a video, climb an active volcano, remain with a camera in front of an advancing landslide, or go out to a raging sea during a storm? Danger is increasingly hidden even in phenomena that seem harmless. An unseasonal rain, sudden snowfall, or sharp warming is no longer just a reason for joy and new impressions, but also a warning signal. The problem is that more and more people fail to recognize this signal. A person may be confident in the sobriety of their reasoning, while in reality, acting impulsively. As happened in the United Arab Emirates, when people went to the mountains simply to admire the rain, but because of a landslide spent the entire night there, with no guarantee that they would not become victims of another ground collapse. If no action is taken, we risk ending up in a world where people see danger, but do not comprehend it, and the brain loses the ability to connect cause and effect. Micro and nanoplastics impair intelligence and destroy areas of the brain responsible for memory, attention, and creative abilities. Without these skills, it is impossible to achieve a scientific breakthrough and find ways to resist the threat of plastic and overcome the climate crisis. Our dulling is no longer a forecast, it is a fact. And now the main task of humanity is to manage to find a solution while we still retain our reason and a little of the remaining time.
on the side. Eee! Oh!
On December 17th, a powerful storm system formed in the Rocky Mountains, a major mountain range in the western United States. Moving eastward, it affected more than 30 states, bringing extreme weather conditions across the country.
I don't blame you there.
In the Pacific Northwest, hurricane-force wind gusts reaching about 138 miles per hour caused widespread power outages. Hundreds of thousands of people were left without electricity, significantly worsening the impacts of recent flooding. Mass power outages were reported in Washington state, where more than 350,000 customers lost power, while in Oregon around 200,000 people were left without electricity.
And away you go.
In Boulder County, Colorado, squall winds lifted dust and debris into the air, sharply reducing visibility on roadways. Local authorities urged residents to stay home and avoid travel. In the city of Twin Falls, Idaho, 2 children were seriously injured after strong winds toppled trees and brought down power lines near a bus stop where they were waiting for a school bus.
Got a log across the boat ramp.
In Wyoming, the storm set a new regional wind speed record. On Coffin Mountain, gusts reached about 144 miles per hour. The storm overturned more than 100 freight rail cars near the state capital, Cheyenne, completely blocking rail traffic. Specialized crews needed nearly 18 hours to clear the tracks. Strong winds also contributed to the rapid spread of wildfires in South Dakota, Wyoming, and Colorado. In Pennington County, South Dakota, a highway was temporarily closed due to fire activity, and residents were advised to evacuate. Evacuation measures were also introduced near Cheyenne, Wyoming, as well as in Yuma County, Colorado, where the fire burned more than approximately 40,000 acres. Across the northern plains and central regions of the country, the storm brought heavy snowfall and blizzard conditions. In some areas, snowdrifts formed and whiteout conditions developed, leaving drivers with almost no visibility. Torrential rains moved into the Central Plains and the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys, causing traffic disruptions and flight delays. The storm reached the northeastern United States on the night of December 26th. Heavy rainfall and wind gusts of up to about 68 miles per hour disrupted operations at major airports and significantly complicated travel during the Christmas and New Year holiday period. The United States has experienced severe winter storms before, but in recent years, and especially noticeable in 2025, they have become extraordinarily large in scale, with the intervals between such extreme events shrinking to a minimum. Humanity must comprehensively study these changes, understand their mechanisms, and unite global efforts to find solutions. The international scientific team of ALLATRA has been researching the causes of the growing intensity of climatic and geodynamic catastrophes on the planet for a long time, and is already proposing concrete, scientifically grounded practical actions to reduce their strength and scale. More details can be found in the film Nanoplastics: Threat to Life, ALLATRA documentary.